Hi, this is Tara Adams, your wellness manager, and today we are joined by Sherry from the Hotchkiss Brain Institute, one of our amazing wellness partners here at ATB. We invited Sherry to come and chat with us about neuroscience and physical well-being and why physical exercise is so important. Welcome, Sherry.
Hi, Tara. Thanks for having me. It's my great pleasure to be here.
Great. Well, I'm excited to hear all about it. First question, according to science, which is your area of expertise, what is the overall benefits of physical exercise? And if you want to share your slides, we'll follow along while we learn from you.
Yeah, I'm just going to put it up now.
Great. I can see your slide.
Okay, great. So as many of you may know, physical exercises are great for our overall physical well-being, such as you can improve your muscle strength and you can lower your blood pressure and you can increase your heart and lung function. But many of you may not know that physical activities are actually really good for reducing your risk of having a stroke or heart disease. For your emotional well-being, physical activities are also great for that. And we'll cover more in the later slides or later talk. So it is known to release your stress level that is related to a group of hormones that is called endorphin. And last but not least, physical activities actually can also increase your memory function. That is a benefit for your cognitive function.
Perfect. Well, so many great reasons why we all need to be even more physically active. So can you tell us a little bit about neuroplasticity and what that means?
Yeah, for sure. So neuroplasticity, this word might sound confusing, but it's actually a simple concept. It has two components, neural and plasticity. So it basically just means that your nervous system has the ability or the capacity to change its structure and its function. For example, after you go through certain program like physical activity program, or after you learn something, your brain may start to rewire or to form new connections. And what we're going to talk about more is called activity-induced or activity-dependent neuroplasticity, which just basically means that your brain will change after you go through certain physical exercise or physical training.
Wow. Okay. And I know you have a great image to show us.
Yeah. So this is an example from my PhD lab at Columbia University. So what we showed is that in the picture on the left, you can see this is a patient, a child with brain injury, and we call it a brain map on the left. So you can see the red area, which basically means that the active areas in the brain that is controlling the child's hand. And on the left, it is before 3 weeks of intensive hand training. And on the right-hand side, this child goes through 3 weeks of intensive hand exercises. After 3 weeks, you can see that the red area increases and also the size of the brain map increases. So we think this is a great example of how the brain can change in its structure or its function after certain physical activities.
Wow. Well, sometimes they say a picture is worth 1,000 words. So those of us who aren't scientists, I mean, can easily just look at this image before and after physical activity and see visually that there are changes in the brain. It's amazing. Okay.
Right. Excited about the work.
Yeah, well, you should be very proud. What is the most current science about the connection between our brains and physical exercise? Let's dig in here.
Mm-hmm. So there's a recent review study by Bottoli and Saba published last year in 2017, which they reviewed about 53 studies. And these studies, these people went through different types of aerobic exercises like cycling, running, martial arts, and dancing, so on and so forth. And they found that across these 53 studies, the brain volume, which means the brain size, overall the brain network increased in the size by about 82%, which I found quite amazing. And I don't want to bore you with details, but the mechanisms behind them might be that there's an increase in the blood flow to the nervous cells, which we call neurons, to compensate for the high demand in the brain glucose, which is the sugar for the brain. And another mechanism might also be that there is neurogenesis, which means there's a growth in the neurons or the nervous cells that is associated with aerobic exercises. And I found really interesting is that the hippocampus, which you can see on the left-hand side of the slide here, which is the red area in here, which is generally considered to be associated with our memory function, such as how you can remember the numbers after you hear them, or how you can retain your memory like a fact or a sentence after a few days, which is known to be associated with hippocampus. This structure has the highest frequency to report it to be associated with physical activities. So I think, which is quite fascinating, that physical activities actually can even enhance our cognitive function.
Wow. Well, I don't think any of us are going to argue with an 80% increase. So it's just more and more evidence that you're sharing with us today about why physical activity is just so important as we strive to be our best selves at work and at home. It's really quite overwhelming. Can you talk a little bit about, I know you have some scientific evidence about the benefits of running specifically. Yeah.
Yeah, so I also recently reviewed a study which they report that the endorphins, which we talked a little bit earlier before, which are associated with what you may heard of runner's high, which is a status that is related to our energetic level, or a feeling of happiness or energy. So running can actually induce the release of endorphins, which I found is really exciting too, that is relevant to our emotional well-being. Also, it is related to an increase of hippocampus size, which we just talked about in our last question, which is relevant to improvement of our memory function. And the last thing I want to talk about is that the effects of running can actually apply to a wide age range. So, for example, in the study by Chaddock and colleagues, they found that children with or adolescents with better fitness level can actually have bigger range or bigger change in their hippocampus size than those with worse fitness level. And this can even apply to elderly too. In another study by Duzo and colleagues, they found that elderly people, after they went through a series of aerobic exercises, that actually reported to have bigger hippocampus size change. So I think this is really encouraging to me that different age range people or along our lifespan, we should work to improve our brain wellness through physical exercises.
Good. So it's not too late for any of us. None of us can say we're too old to get going on this.
Right.
So tell us a little more about your story, Sherry. Do you work out? Do you exercise?
Yeah, I'm just gonna stop the Okay.
There you are.
Yes, yes, I do. So I do 3 times of exercises a week. So I do running, I do yoga, and I also do cycling. I mix them up.
Yeah. And would you say that your work, your research motivates you on a personal level?
Yeah, for sure. So like the motor math figure I just showed earlier, it is from a patient from our study. So these children, they have motor disability and they went through a very rigorous or intensive hand training program at our hospital. So I think it is really encouraging because they are very motivated to move, although they have such difficulty in moving their bodies. So I'm very motivated just by watching them and just by seeing them improve so much after um, a short period of time. And I'm very proud of them to see how their brain changes as well.
Wow. Okay. Well, what is your best personal and professional advice for our ATB team members?
Yeah, so I would say just to keep moving and keep your neuroplasticity active throughout your life. That's my advice.
Okay. Well, you're the expert. So really today, I feel like you've given us all a lot more motivation to get more physically active. So you can all come up with lots of excuses, but those images and those numbers and stats are hard to deny. So whether it's trying to be your best self at work or at home or both, let's all find a little more time to be more physically active. We will, of course, share the link to the video along with Sherry's slides. And I want to thank you so much for the great conversation, sharing your research and
Yeah,
sharing.
thank you for having me again.
You're welcome. Okay, and stay tuned for more great wellness videos from experts like our friends here at the Hotchkiss Brain Institute.